Hi, I am Ruby, and first of all, I want to say thank you for your prayers and your financial support so we were able to go to this mission trip. This mission trip encouraged me and it helped me grow in different ways. It was definitely a very different and new experience for me. It helped me realize I don't have to be out of the country to do missions. Clarkston being the square mile most diverse out of the country, full of people from different ethnicities and culture, was so fascinating to see, showing me that missions can be happening here. It was hard to see all the people that was lost, worship false idols, and do not know Christ. But seeing believers from Clarkston International Bible Church helping all the refugees, building relationships with them, and pointing them to Christ just shows God's amazing work with many people's lives. Seeing believers honoring the Lord by serving others and building relationships was very convicting, helping me examine my heart and questioning in what ways I'm serving others and in what ways I'm being a missionary where I live. We met Nazarene. She was originally from Iran. She shared her testimony with us, talking about her life before being a believer. I was able to interact with her one-on-one and hear about her life when she was a Muslim. It was very hard to hear that people would persecute Christians if they weren't of the Muslim faith, and how women were treated was also just really heartbreaking. But it just reminds me that we have a powerful God and He's in control of everything. And I'm so thankful for His love and the gift of salvation He has given us.
Hello, I'm Lalo, and first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for your support, whether it was financial or just prayers. So we went to Clarkston, Georgia, which is known to be very diverse due to refugees from all over the world. I was very nervous because this was my first missions trip, so I was just nervous. I didn't know what to expect, and realized that we do not need to travel outside the country to really worship and see those unreached people. Some of the things we did was we visited a mosque, we interacted with some of the Afghani families, and we just got to know the church. I really like seeing all the languages and trying out foods I've never seen or heard before, so that was like one of my highlights too. Also, one of my favorite things was hearing the testimonies from the Afghan people and like the struggles they faced. It was convicting knowing how they put all their trust on Christ. As in Afghanistan, they are persecuted when I can doubt God sometimes, and going through trials, it can be pretty hard. I also like seeing how they built their relationships and served refugees. It was just a good example to see how I should serve here at GBC. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Riley Leek. The trip to Georgia really inspired me to be a missionary. I really loved it because I got to see so many different cultures and religions, and it made me grateful for what I have. Last year was the first time I went, and I loved it. Hearing from an Afghan Christian was so inspiring because I got to hear how he loved Jesus Christ, even though he didn't have many things, and he had been persecuted many times. What I want to remember about this trip is that some people don't have the things I have, but love Christ and rely on Him.
Hi, my name is Sophie Leek, and I went on the Georgia mission trip. One thing that I will always remember is the people at the kids club are kind and godly, and the club has a 1-hour Bible time. The leaders hand out 3 Bibles at the end of some of the sessions. I also made lots of new friends. One thing I learned is I can be friends with anyone. The club has more kids than from 50 countries. Even though I couldn't talk to them, I could show them Jesus' love.
One thing. Okay. Tell your name.
Hi, I'm Archie. Jesus died on the cross for our sin, so and then we all can talk about Georgia.
Okay, I'm Catherine Leake, and I had the privilege of going back to Georgia for the second time this summer. For me, I have had a passion for unreached people groups really since I was about 6, was the first time that I remember just writing down in my journal that I really wanted to be a missionary to unreached people groups, and that's just something that God has grown in me forever. And I really grew up thinking that I would leave the country to be a missionary, and I even went to a different country for 3 years to do missionary training school and was really pursuing that. And then, adopted 9 kids, and life has changed. But one thing about Georgia that I just absolutely love is the fact that God has brought hundreds of unreached people groups literally to our doorstep. And until you go there, it's like you can't really put it in words. I've told so many of you about it, but until you see it in person, I was maybe Archie, although he thinks he's Mexican, but I was the only white person that we came across on the trip, really. There are people literally within that city of Georgia from hundreds of unreached people groups. And these are places where Americans, are not welcome. We can't go into those countries. We can't enter because we're Americans, and we can't go to those places. And yet God has graciously brought them to us. And so just the fact that they're right there, we can share with them, we can interact with them is just amazing. And we can see entire unreached people groups come to Christ. I'm also just constantly convicted when I interact with my friends there who are missionaries, because they're just incredibly intentional with their time. They are busy all day, every day, working with hundreds of refugees. And, refugees from all these different countries, and they don't care where they're from, what country, what language they speak. They are just incredibly intentional about their conversations, about their interactions with them, and about just sharing the gospel. And just seeing their heart for that, and just also hearing their heart that their heart is to be obedient, and their recognition that, for some of these people, they may see fruit, and for some of these people, they may never see fruit, but they have to be obedient. And just seeing that was just really convicting to me, just to live my life in a very intentional way with the people that I interact with. And then one more thing that I just want to leave you with. One of the trainings, we were able to go through a number of half-day trainings with different missionaries. And one thing that we did, even though we live in the middle of central Kansas, which is very not diverse, we were able to spend some time doing some cultural mapping even for this area. And I don't know how many of you know, but our eyes were opened even just spending a few hours doing that. That just even within, I don't know if you guys know this, but within an hour of Hutchinson, Kansas, there's 4 mosques and there's 3 Hindu temples within an hour. Let's not do push-ups. Of right here. And, then besides that, there's, just in Wichita, there's a number of just different ethnic restaurants owned by people from different countries, and things like that. And we just have, unreached people groups coming to us here too. And so we have those opportunities. And so just because we're in Kansas doesn't mean that we're not going to come across people who have never heard the gospel. Like, that is growing everywhere in the United States. And so we just need to always be ready with an answer for the hope that we have. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, GBC, for supporting us in many different ways, for praying, for encouraging us, for buying tacos. You did not regret that. It was good. It was a blessing to go on this exploratory missions trip. It was special. It was short, but it gave us an idea what they are doing. It's really impressive. What Catherine just said, it's true. You walk and it feels like you're not in the United States, but in the Middle East. So it's kind of strange, and you feel it's hard to talk about these things in our theology camp. But I was talking with Pastor Steve about this, but you feel darkness. It's weird. All the ladies wearing what Pastor Bart calls ninja suits, and fall like behind the men. It's strange. It feels very weird. You cannot read some of the signs. It's strange, but at the same time, it's impressive to put faces, put names to many of these people that are lost without a Savior. It's really humbling to see what the Lord is doing. I know that sometimes these kind of topics get political, and everyone has their own political agenda and stuff. But when you see that the Lord, in His providence, is bringing the nations to us, and we have a responsibility to reach out to them. Only in the last year, there's 40 Afghans total here in Hutch. I don't know if you've seen them, but they are here. So they need Jesus. They need Jesus. They need the gospel. And may the Lord allow us to use all our outreach opportunities, every interaction that you might have with them, so that we can point them to their need of a Savior. It's a blessing. I mean, nowadays, as Catherine was saying as well, you guys as Americans, you don't have the doors open to many places, but they're coming to your playground. They are coming to you, and what a challenge it is to reach out to them with the gospel, with the good news of salvation. We saw the church doing that in many different ways. It was really impressive. We went to the Afghan service, which is the song that we were singing. I'm sure that if you sang some very good old songs, you remember which one is that? Be exalted, or I exalt you. It's pretty, like, it's been translated to every language, and it's just amazing to see people from every language, from every tongue, from every nationality worshiping the Lord, just as us in their way. It's funny because I told the staff pastors in a joke, like, the service was at 2 p.m., it was 3 and nobody was there. And it was perfectly normal, only the pastor. So the pastor basically started to, Mark laughs. So the pastor started telling us everything, how he arrived there, how he was saved, how they got discriminated by Iraqis, for example, which is impressive. We didn't know that. We found out, like, for example, we assume everyone is a Muslim, like radical, jihad, extremist, and that is really not the case. In talking to different people, that is not the case. You have to be, and people just zip it, but most of them are open to the gospel, really, and that was a shock for all of us. They just have to do it if they want to stay alive. The guy that you saw there, and we'll probably remove that from the live stream, the video. The Lord saved him. His family is not saved, and we met in his house. The wife does not talk to him, does not cook to him, because he's a Muslim, and she says, if we were in Afghanistan, I would turn you over so that you get killed. I mean, it's pretty harsh. It's pretty strong. It's just different. But you see the hope of the gospel. You see what the Lord is doing. This Afghan pastor, for example, he meets with the underground church in Afghanistan via Zoom. So he's preaching every week the gospel to a good number of Afghanis in Afghanistan or in Iraq, because they have refugees like Iraq from Afghanistan. So it's impressive to see what the Lord is doing. And then, like, at 3:30, everyone started showing up. So it's like, okay, people are here, so let's start. And then I felt what some of you feel when you go to Spanish ministry and I'm preaching in Spanish and you think I'm talking in tongues. Well, I felt the same when they were preaching. But it was a joy. It was just a joy to see believers from other nations rejoice in the Lord, worship, and how the Lord is saving them in His providence here and abroad, and is bringing them, like this pastor, he's being faithful. And the church is like 15 people, and that day only 4 showed up. And it was a great service. I don't know. It helps you ponder. It helps you put things in the balance. It helps you treasure what we have. It helps us be responsible and be good stewards of what the Lord has entrusted us. It helps us just keep thinking about that big thing over there and all the things that we will be doing and all the many ways that you all will be involved to reach out to those that are without a Savior, right? So, again, thank you. We are very encouraged. We are very challenged. Just, okay, how are we reaching out to others, even if we don't speak the language? There's many ways in which we can reach out to them, being kind to them, helping them. And then the Lord will give us opportunity to speak truth to their lives. So thank you. Be praying for these missionaries. It's hard. I asked one of the missionaries, how long, I mean, in average, and you know, here in the States, they like statistics, right? How long, in average, does it take to get to the real stuff with a Muslim, right? And you can talk about spiritual things and that they are open to receive what you're saying. And he said 10 years. Whew. So they've been there for 5 years, maybe, right? They thought they were going to work with Hispanics, but, you know, the Lord changed what they thought. It was always His plan, and it's great to see how respected they are, how the ladies went with a younger family that she was a journalist in Afghanistan, and when everything went to, you know what happened when everything went crazy, of course she was she was advocating for women's rights, and of course she's not liked in the regime. So she was brought here as a refugee. They are like a middle-class Afghan family. They still don't agree with us. They are still practicing. But they were so gentle, and they were so happy. They were like, nobody has visited in 3 months. They were so happy, and they were texting or WhatsApping with Mave a few weeks ago, and it was just encouraging to see how the Lord opened doors with them. We could pray with some of them. I asked them, like, he said, with the guy that you saw, can you pray for my kids? And I said, yeah, we can pray right now. And we prayed with him, and it was special. Just like a Salvadorian, a Mexican, another Salvadorian, an Afghan, an American, your friend, just praying there in the street. It was something heavenly. It is a spiritual battle, but the Lord is doing great things. And it is a joy. I don't know what else to say, but thank you. Let's be praying for all those faces that you saw and the ones that you didn't see, for the missionaries there, and for the Lord to send more missionaries to the harvest. When we think about that, we think China, we think Afghanistan, which we should whenever it's possible. But here, we need missionaries here. We need more healthy, biblical, sound churches to be planted here. We need missionaries to go do what you're told by the Lord wherever you are. So let's not think that you have to go to Argentina to do that. You can start doing here, like in that metal building soon, in your workplace, wherever the Lord puts you. Let's be thinking and praying about that, how we can be faithful and be good stewards of everything the Lord has entrusted us with. So thank you. So 2 more, apparently.
Okay. I'm Danny. I went on the mission trip, as you know, because I'm here. But it was encouraging just to see everything, how the church was united, how there were so many different nationalities, and everybody's so knit together, and how they're just advancing the work there. And yeah, there's a lot of need there, as well as here and everywhere. But yeah, it was encouraging to see just everything and the work that they're doing. So yeah, be praying.
Thank you.